The distress signal. The silence of space pressed against the hull of the Finari research station like a predator waiting to strike. Inside the cramped observation deck, Dr. Velis's 3 hearts hammered in uneven rhythm. Her slender fingers trembled as they danced across the communications panel, sending the same message into the void for the 14th time. This is Finari Research Station Kepler 7. We are under attack. Repeat, we are under attack. Raiders have breached outer sections. We have no weapons, no defenses. 23 souls aboard, please. If anyone can hear this, her voice cracked. She didn't finish. What was there to say that the universe would care about? Through the viewport she could see them. 7 Harravik raider ships, black and jagged like broken teeth, circling the station. They weren't in a hurry. Why would they be? The Finari were scholars, not soldiers. Their research station was a floating library, filled with botanical samples and star charts, not plasma cannons and shields. Easy prey. Velis. The voice behind her was soft but steady. It belonged to Ren, her research partner. His gray skin had gone pale, but his eyes remained calm. The distress beacon? Active, she whispered. But no one's coming. They never do. It was the truth, and they both knew it. The galaxy was vast. Help was a luxury reserved for those with power, with military alliances, with something to offer in return. The Finari had only knowledge, and knowledge couldn't stop a blade. A metallic screech echoed through the station. Hull breach, Section C. Velis's breath caught. Section C was the nursery. 3 young ones were sleeping there. Ren moved toward the door, but she grabbed his arm. Don't, you can't fight them. I won't let them take the children. Before she could respond, the lights flickered, then died. Emergency strips glowed faint red along the floor, casting everything in the color of blood. The raiders were inside, somewhere far across the void. Captain Owen Hayes stood on the bridge of the ECS Defiant Storm, staring at a screen that shouldn't have had anything on it. Say that again. Comms! Lieutenant Yao looked up from her station, confusion written across her face. It's a distress signal, sir. Finari origin, coordinates put them. Hell, they're 3 jumps into uncharted space, outside any treaty zone. Finari. Hayes frowned. He knew the name. Peaceful species, scientists, no military to speak of. What's the message? Yao hesitated, then played it. The voice that came through was small, frightened. Alien, yes, but the fear in it was universal. Please, if anyone can hear this. The bridge went silent. Hayes felt something tighten in his chest. He'd heard distress calls before. Too many. Some they'd answered. Some they'd been ordered to ignore. Politics, jurisdiction, the cold math of interstellar diplomacy. But that voice... Captain, his XO, Commander Ibarra, stepped closer. Her tone was careful. We're not authorized for operations in uncharted space. Fleet Command would have our heads. And we don't even know if they're still out. Spin up the jump drive. Ibarra blinked. Sir? Hayes turned to face her, and his eyes were iron. I said spin up the jump drive. Helm, plot a course. Engineering, I want maximum output. We're going in hot. Captain, with respect, Ibarra began. Commander. Hayes's voice was quiet, but it cut like a blade. If someone calls for help, we answer. That's not politics. That's not strategy. That's who we are. He looked around the bridge. Every pair of eyes was on him. Prep the Marines. Weapons hot. Medical teams on standby. He turned back to the viewport where the stars stretched into infinity. Someone out there is scared. Someone's got kids who don't understand why the monsters are coming. His jaw tightened. Let's go remind the monsters what real monsters look like. Back on the station, Velis huddled with the others in the sealed lab. They'd barricaded the door with equipment racks and anything else they could move. It wouldn't hold long. Outside, they could hear the raiders, heavy footfalls, guttural laughter, the hiss of cutting torches. One of the young ones, a girl named Scylla, whimpered softly. Velis pulled her close, stroking her head. It's okay, she whispered, though the lie tasted like ash. It's okay. The door shuddered, once, twice. Then the torch began to cut through. Velis closed her eyes. She thought of the stars, of quiet mornings in the greenhouse, of a universe that was beautiful and terrible and utterly indifferent. The door exploded inward. A Harravik raider stepped through the smoke, tall, armored, cruel. His translator crackled. On your feet. You belong to us now. Velis held Scylla tighter. The raider raised his weapon, and then the entire station shook. Not from weapons fire, from something else. Something arriving. The raider's helmet comms crackled with panicked voices in his own language. He turned, confusion breaking his cruel confidence. And through the viewport behind him, Velis saw it. A ship. Massive. Scarred. Human. The letters on its hull glowed like a promise. ECS Defiant Storm. Velis didn't breathe. Didn't move. And then, over the station's emergency comms, a new voice. Deep, calm, human. Finari Station, this is Captain Hayes of the Earth Confederation ship Defiant Storm. Hold on. We're here. 3 simple words that changed everything. We're here. First contact, with violence, the Harravik Raider Captain Jarn had pillaged 17 stations in his career. He knew fear when he saw it, the way eyes went wide, the way voices turned to begging, the way entire crews crumbled before a single shot was fired. He did not know the feeling himself. Not until now. Report, he snarled into his helmet comm. Watching through his ship's viewport as the human vessel settled into position, it was ugly. All angles and armor plating scarred from battles that should have killed it. No elegant curves. No artistic design. Just brutal, functional violence wrapped in steel. His second-in-command's voice crackled back, uncertain. Captain, their weapons are locked on our fleet. All 7 ships. I'm reading power signatures I've never... Are they hailing us? Yes, sir. Audio only. Jarn straightened. Good. Negotiation he could work with. Everyone had a price. Every species could be intimidated or bought. Put them through. The voice that came through was male. Human. And it carried something Jarn hadn't expected. Absolute calm. Harravik vessels. This is Captain Owen Hayes of the ECS Defiant Storm. You have 30 seconds to power down your weapons, disengage from the station, and prepare to be boarded for processing. This is your only warning. Jarn laughed. His crew laughed with him. Human, Jarn replied, activating his own comm. You are 1 ship. We are 7. Your vessel may be large, but you are outnumbered and out 29 seconds. The laughter died. Jarn's crest flared with irritation. You dare interrupt 25 seconds. I'm not negotiating. I'm counting. Something cold touched Jarn's spine. He glanced at his tactical display. The human ship hadn't moved, hadn't fired, just waited, like a predator that had already decided the outcome. Fire a warning shot across their bow, Jarn ordered. Teach them respect. His weapons officer obeyed. A plasma bolt lanced through space, deliberately missing the human ship by 100 meters. The human captain's voice came back immediately. Different now, colder. 15 seconds. You just made a mistake. Jarn's blood went hot with rage. All ships, full assault pattern. Tear them apart! 7 Harravik raiders opened fire simultaneously. On the bridge of the Defiant Storm. CIWS active. Point defense holding. Lieutenant Yao's fingers flew across her console as the ship's automated systems shredded incoming fire with precision railgun bursts. Shields at 94%. Hayes watched the tactical display with the patience of a man who'd seen this dance before. The raiders were fast, aggressive, but sloppy. They relied on intimidation and overwhelming weaker opponents. They'd never fought something that hit back. Target the lead ship's engines, Hayes said quietly. Railgun batteries 1 through 4 fire. The Defiant Storm didn't roar when it fired. It cracked, like thunder splitting the sky. 4 tungsten slugs, each moving at a fraction of light speed, crossed the distance in seconds. The lead raider ship tried to evade, but it was like trying to dodge lightning. The first slug punched through the engine section. The second followed the hole the first had made. The third and fourth ensured nothing remained but debris and escaping atmosphere. The ship didn't explode dramatically. It simply stopped, dead in space. Dark. Target disabled, Yao reported. No life signs in the engine section. Hull breach catastrophic. Hayes' expression didn't change. Next target. Same solution. Commander Ibarra leaned in, voice low. Captain, we're in uncharted space. No witnesses. If we wanted to send a stronger message, we disable their engines and board them for processing, Hayes said firmly. We're not murderers, Commander. We're the response to murderers. Aye, sir. Another raider ship went dark. Then another. Inside the Finari station, the raider who'd broken into the lab stood frozen, his weapon lowered, listening to the panicked voices screaming through his helmet comm. Velis couldn't understand the words, but she understood the tone. Terror. The raider spun toward the viewport, just in time to see one of his own ships go dark, tumbling lifelessly through space. What are they? He whispered in his own language. Then his comms crackled with a new voice. Human, female, professional. Attention Haravik personnel aboard the Finari station. This is Lieutenant Commander Sarah Chen, United Earth Marines. You are surrounded. Your fleet is disabled. Lay down your weapons and you will be processed according to Confederation law. Resist and we will remove you by force. You have 60 seconds to comply. The raider's head swiveled toward the sealed door behind him, the one he'd just cut through. From the corridor beyond came a sound clang, 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 methodical, heavy, getting closer. The raider raised his weapon toward the door, his hands shaking. Clang, 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 stay back, he shouted in broken standard. I kill them. I kill hostages. The clanging stopped. Silence. Then a voice. Right outside the door. Human, female, utterly devoid of fear. No, you won't. The door exploded inward, not from a breaching charge, but from something punching through it, an armored fist. The raider stumbled backward, firing wildly. Plasma bolts splashed against the armor of the figure that stepped through the smoke. A human, female, nearly 7 feet tall in her powered combat armor. The suit was matte black, scarred from 100 battles. And painted on the shoulder was a simple symbol, a white hand, palm out, fingers spread, a shield. The Marine, Chen, Velis realized, walked through the plasma fire like it was rain. She closed the distance in 3 strides, grabbed the raider's weapon with one hand and crushed it. The raider swung a blade. Chen caught his wrist, twisted, and drove him to the ground with mechanical efficiency. Hostile secured, she reported calmly into her comm. Then she looked up at the huddled Finari, her helmet's faceplate retracting to reveal a scarred but kind face. You're safe now. We're here to help. Velis stared, her 3 hearts hammering. The human's eyes were brown, warm, but behind that warmth was something else. Something that had just walked through weapons fire without hesitation. Scylla, the young one, whispered in Finari, Is she a guardian spirit? Chen didn't understand the language, but she smiled gently. My name is Sarah. Can you tell me if anyone's hurt? 40 minutes later, the Haravik raiders sat in the Defiant Storm's brig, stripped of weapons and armor, staring at the walls. Jarn sat in his cell, his crest flat with shame and confusion. Through the force field, he could see humans walking past. Soldiers, medics, engineers. They moved with purpose. No gloating, no cruelty. They'd won completely and they weren't even celebrating. One human, a young soldier carrying medical supplies, paused at his cell. Jarn glared at him. What are you? Jarn demanded. You fight like demons but show mercy like fools. What kind of species are you? The soldier studied him for a moment, then spoke in perfect Haravik. The kind that answers when someone calls for help. He walked away. Jarn sat in silence, those words echoing in his mind. On the Finari station, Captain Hayes walked through the repaired corridors, his Marines securing the area. He found Dr. Velis in the greenhouse, standing among her plants, staring at nothing. Dr. Velis, he said gently. She turned and he saw tears on her face. You came, she whispered. No one ever comes. Hayes's expression softened. We heard you, we came. That's all there is to it, but why? We have nothing to offer. We're not warriors. We can't repay. We don't need payment, Hayes interrupted quietly. You needed help. That's enough. Velis stared at him, this human from a distant world, and saw something in his eyes she'd only read about in ancient texts. Honor. The galaxy will hear of this, she said softly. They'll want to know about the humans who came from nowhere to save strangers. Hayes smiled, tired but genuine. Let them talk. Maybe next time someone else will answer too. He turned to leave, then paused. Oh, and doctor? Your distress signal? It's still broadcasting. Might want to shut that off. Don't want anyone else getting ideas. As he walked away, Velis looked out the viewport at the scarred human warship, and for the first time in days, she felt something besides fear. Hope.